The story begins in the tranquil city of Portland, where the majestic forests provide the perfect backdrop for Will and his daughter Tom, who live a peaceful and isolated life far from the chaos of urban living. Their existence is simple and self-sufficient, with Will gathering rainwater for drinking and cultivating food in the forest. Tom, a loving daughter, assists her father in every task, and their close bond is evident in their daily routines. The calm, natural life they lead seems idyllic, but there's a deeper mystery surrounding why they've chosen to live in the forest, far from society. The two have been living in the woods for over a decade, yet their secrecy raises questions. They avoid interacting with others and hide when strangers approach. Tom grows uneasy whenever she sees people from the nearby forest bridge, and Will reacts with noticeable discomfort when she mentions them. His training of Tom to avoid being seen only adds to the intrigue, leaving the audience wondering why they go to such lengths to stay hidden. As the story unfolds, it becomes clear that Tom is beginning to feel disconnected from the world. She yearns for something more, feeling the absence of human connection. Will, too, is troubled. His demeanor is often somber, and he seems burdened by an unspoken weight. Though they live off the land, Will occasionally ventures into the city with Tom to gather supplies. But instead of going straight to a grocery store, Will stops at a hospital to pick up medication. This raises the question of how they afford their supplies, considering their secluded lifestyle. The mystery deepens when it's revealed that Will is not the only person living in the forest. Others have sought refuge in the woods, all struggling with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, after experiencing traumatic events. These individuals have fled society to escape the haunting memories that continue to plague them. The forest, however, is government property, which forces them to live in secrecy. Will is part of this group, though the reason behind his retreat to the forest remains unclear. He's been selling PTSD medication to others in the forest, and the money earned from these transactions has allowed him and Tom to survive in the wilderness. One day, as Tom is going about her daily chores, she spots a girl in the forest. Instinctively, she hides, waiting for the girl to leave. Afterward, Tom returns to Will but decides not to mention the encounter, something that would come back to haunt her later. Later, while Tom and Will are spending time together, a siren pierces the air, and Will immediately knows that someone has discovered their secret. Panic sets in as they scramble to find a place to hide. Their fears are confirmed when they see police officers arriving in the forest, led by the girl who had seen Tom earlier. She had informed the authorities, and now the police are searching for them. Will is arrested, and Tom, unable to hide any longer, surrenders as well. Distrustful of the authorities, she makes one final attempt to retrieve their belongings from their home in the forest. Tom is taken to a refugee center. Tom struggles to adjust to life in the center, where she finds it difficult to connect with the other girls. She feels lost in a world so different from the isolated existence she had known for so long. The government officers, including a lady officer, test Tom's mental abilities, only to discover that she is more knowledgeable than most children her age. However, her lack of social skills becomes evident as she struggles to interact with others. Tom learned to read and write from Will, but without exposure to the outside world, she finds it hard to adjust to this new environment. Meanwhile, Will's situation becomes increasingly dire. He's forced to confront painful memories from his past, which only intensify his trauma. His long period of isolation makes it impossible for him to find comfort in society. His only concern is Tom's well-being. Doctors work to calm him down, but his fears remain. The prospect of returning to a secluded life in the forest is no longer an option, as he's told that he must provide a normal life for Tom or risk losing her forever. With no other options, Officer Jean steps in to help. She introduces Will and Tom to Walter, a man who offers them a house to live in. Walter also encourages Will to join his farm, providing the opportunity for a stable life and a fresh start. Will and Tom, having been through so much, now face the uncertain task of adjusting to this new chapter in their lives. While their old way of life is gone, they must find a way to build a future, free from the past that haunted them in the forest. Jean's words echoed in Will's mind as she urged him to let go of his trauma and move forward. She promised that they would meet weekly to help him build a new life. With that, she left, leaving Will and Tom to grapple with their changed circumstances. Walter believed he had helped them, but Will resented the constant interference. Nevertheless, both were now under observation, and Will had no choice but to accept the new reality. Reluctantly, he decided to move forward, not wanting to burden Tom any further. The following day, Will began working on Walter's farm. Jean arrived with a bicycle for Tom, a gift that made her happy. She also asked Will to sign papers quickly so Tom could attend school. After Jean left, Will took Tom out to teach her how to ride the bike. Slowly, Tom began to adapt to their new life, and for the first time, Will sensed that he might be accepting the changes too. However, his past trauma was never far behind, resurfacing at unexpected times. While Will tried to adjust, Tom explored her new surroundings. She wandered around the area and came across a rabbit on the road. Deciding to return it to its owner, she met a boy named Ijar who shared her interest in rabbits. They talked talked for a long time, enjoying each other's company. Ejar invited Tom to his rabbit meeting, which she eagerly accepted. In the midst of this, Tom lost track of time and forgot about Will. When Will realized she was missing, panic set in. Eventually, Tom returned home and Will was furious. They argued briefly, but Tom remained calm, telling Will that perhaps it was time for both of them to accept their new life and move forward. Will began to understand the purpose behind their change in circumstances. He saw how Tom was bonding with others, especially Jean, and how she was becoming a part of the community. However, this growing closeness with others made Will uneasy, and he made a decision to return to their old life, away from society. Tom, having realized her right to live her life after all they had been through, didn't want to leave. However, she understood Will's decision and chose to go with him. They returned to their old home, but it was now in ruins, a stark reminder of the life they had left behind. They asked the people living in the forest for help, but everyone was struggling with their own hardships. With no other options, Will decided to head north, hoping for a fresh start, though Tom was reluctant. The authorities were actively searching for them. After a tense escape, Will and Tom boarded a bus, hoping to evade capture. But as the police closed in, they got off at a stop and sought alternative transportation. Will found a man heading north, though the man was suspicious. Tom kept quiet about their situation, and the man eventually agreed to help them. Their journey continued until they reached Washington, where they disembarked near a forest. The cold temperatures made it difficult to proceed, and Tom struggled to climb the mountain. Exhausted and weak, she faced immense hardship, but Will refused to leave her side. As night fell and the cold intensified, Will crafted a shelter from grass to keep them warm. Despite the challenging conditions, Will's resolve to protect Tom never wavered. Their bond was undeniable, and Will was determined to ensure Tom had the best life possible, even in the face of adversity. The next day, they found an empty house and decided to take shelter there. After resting, they felt better, and Will made the decision that this would be their home for as long as they needed. Tom felt content with the house and the support of her father, but she realized they would need supplies to live comfortably. She asked Will if they could stay longer, understanding that it would take time to build a more stable life. As time passed, Tom began to feel restless and started going through Will's old belongings. This was when she learned about Will's painful past. Will had once been an army officer, but the trauma of the Iran War had shattered him. One day, Tom realized that Will had gone missing. She waited for him all night, and the next morning she set out to find him. When she discovered him badly injured, she panicked. Desperate, Tom sought help and was fortunate enough to find people who assisted her, bringing Will to the home of a woman named Dale. Dale, a PTSD survivor herself, offered to call a doctor, but Tom refused, fearing it would expose Will's condition and his past. However, Dale understood the situation and called her army doctor friend to examine Will. The doctor confirmed that Will had suffered a severe leg injury, which would prevent him from walking for an extended period. Dale, recognizing the signs of PTSD, offered Will and Tom shelter at her home. She had helped other survivors like Will in the past, and although Will was grateful, his discomfort was clear. He did not want to accept the help, but deep down, he knew it was the best option for both of them. While staying at Dale's house, Tom starts to connect with the people around her, feeling a sense of belonging. She begins to see them as her new family, but she also realizes the deep pain Will carries within him. Concerned, she speaks to the army doctor, who suggests bringing Will a dog to offer comfort. He shares that a dog helped him heal during his own trauma, and Tom hopes it might help Will too. She brings the dog to him, hoping it will make a difference. Tom introduces Will to the beauty of the place, and for the first time, Will begins to relax and experience some peace. Tom feels she has found the home and happiness she's longed for. The next day, she decides to make this place her permanent home with Will. However, Will's trauma remains, and despite the love and comfort around him, he is unable to fully heal. One day, Will decides to leave and asks Tom to come with him. Tom, overwhelmed by the constant turmoil, breaks down. She tells Will that if he wants to leave, he can, but she won't go with him. She can no longer carry his pain or let his struggles control her life. She walks away, determined to find her own happiness. Though part of her still wants to be with her father, Tom hesitates. As she walks away, something shifts inside her. She realizes she has the right to be happy and must let go of the past. She chooses not to go with Will. In an emotional moment, she hugs him for the last time, tears in her eyes, before walking away to seek her own life. Will, also in tears, doesn't stop her. He understands that Tom deserves a life free from his trauma. He watches her go, knowing she will no longer bear the weight of his struggles. In the final scene, Will walks into the forest, lost in his suffering, returning to solitude. The film ends with the bittersweet truth that some stories can only be felt, not told. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel for more great content. Thank you for watching.